And we're live. Hey,
Hi, Tony.
everybody. Yay. Hi, Jennifer.
How,
Welcome to
oh,
the Let's Talk Franchising Show. We are still trying to come up with a cute and clever name for our weekly show, but we are so excited and on fire
we are
from the
on fire, coming off of
international.
a fire week, right, Tony?
Yeah, it was
Um,
amazing.
Amazing. So most of you probably know from our post and from what we've shared so far that we are on the heels of returning from the International Franchise Association show in San Diego. And what a week it was. We made so many contacts, so many partnerships, met so many wonderful people that were just open to collaborating and just serving the franchise industry. I know I made a lot of relationships. I have a whole stack of business cards here that I'm making my follow ups. What about you, Tony?
So, as you know, Jennifer, I get people on my schedule when I'm in front of them. So I think I have 10 one-to-ones scheduled over the next 2 weeks. And then I do have business cards as well. But let me just say this. I went there with a question mark in my mind
That's
as
right.
to was franchising where I wanted to be with network in action? Did I want to make people aware that network in action exists so that they can come to network with us? And there was just one thing after another that let me know I was in the right place.
Isn't it awesome?
So many wins, so many amazing stories that I kept showing up, and it's just going to continue to be fruitful. So I can't wait for next year.
I know.
If you are in the franchise space, you need to be there because. And then we heard from Shaq.
We
You
heard
know
from
he is.
Shaq. Shaq is huge. I mean,
I
not
was just getting
just
ready to say that.
Shaq is huge, body frame, status, all of that. He's huge. Yeah,
And pretty humble.
he is. I
I
mean,
thought he
really
was pretty humble.
a thought-provoking conversation about his journey, where he is, and how he's not only been able to get to where he is, but how he's reaching back, right? And helping
Right.
others. Yeah.
Right. So I just implore everybody that's around franchising to show up to the IFA. And, if you're a network in action and you're watching this, listen, I'm going to be talking about it because it's a game changer. And
It is. It
plus,
truly
there
is.
was only one company there talking about networking, and I'm like, yeah, they need some competition. So
They
definitely
were
going to show up.
everywhere. They were all over the place. Yeah.
It's okay.
So,
They
yeah.
don't scare me. They do not. And then I tell you that, I'm like, they don't scare me. So I'm excited about the next year.
So that's in
So
the networking space. So in my space, I made a number of different contacts just related to, brands having the courageous conversation around where they sit with diversity, where the opportunity lies with
mhm,
diversity, and with the work that I'm doing now, how we can partner to meet some of their diversity targets and some of their KPIs, key performance indicators. So just a lot of good relationships there. I mean, top name brands that are looking to partner and just identify those underrepresented, vetted, and qualified candidates to meet some of their diversity target needs. So it was an awesome times. And so I have a number of different follow ups there. And I know some of those folks will probably be bringing onto the show as well. Didn't want to let the cat out of the secret out of the hat right there, but just know that subsequent programming, we will bring some of those guests, and they'll just share the work that they're doing in that space. And Tony, do you think I didn't talk to you about this prior to the show, but we're looking to rebrand, right?
yes,
So do you think we should take some suggestions from our audience of what our name should be? Perhaps.
absolutely.
Yeah, let's do that.
Absolutely. So, yes, if you have any suggestions, put it in the comments on what we should rebrand to. Now, what we have discovered is that the word Fran in front of any other word is overused and taken.
Yes. So we don't want Fran
So
anything.
yeah, I don't think it would be Fran. Well, I don't think we can find a friend that's not available. But we want,
That's right.
yeah, what can we call ourselves that would be catchy, attractive, and would love to hear from, if you're a branding expert, Caitlin, I'm calling on you. Love to hear your ideas. So you made arrangements, Jennifer, for a great guest today.
I
I appreciate
did.
you.
I did. I think this guest is, all our guests are awesome, but Micah has a special story that he's going to be sharing with us. So let me go ahead and get into his introduction and bring him on the stage so that we can hear from Micah. Micah Logan has been an entrepreneur for the last 16 years, and Micah is the founder and CEO of MELD Fitness and Wellness, MELD, a multi award winning fitness concept that focuses on delivering high value, high ticket personal training to busy adults in what he calls the micro personal training studio. In 2021, Micah started franchising his fitness concept with eyes on national expansion. In the same year, his fitness concept was named to the Fantastic 500 franchises by FranServe, which is my broker company, in February 2022. Micah was recognized as one of the top 175 influencers in the franchise industry by 1851 Franchise Magazine. How awesome is that?
Yes.
Micah is also the CEO of a startup manufacturing firm named Hush Frame. Hush Frame is the inventor and manufacturer of Hush Frame Raft Connectors, a soundproofing device that is poised to disrupt the future of soundproofing in the construction industry. How amazing. So Micah's a busy guy. That's amazing. In addition to these roles, Micah is also the host of the internationally downloaded small business podcast, The Common Sense Show, and a requested national speaker for multiple business associations. Micah is also a business coach, having coached multiple clients to achieve multiple six-figure revenues. In his downtime, what downtime? In his downtime, Micah is an avid reader, specifically in the subjects of human behavior and social economics. So, with that, Micah, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Your claps are great. I love that. I like the,
We clap here. Yeah.
yeah.
Wait a minute. And you're such a young guy, too. You
I
got a lot
know.
going on to be a kid.
Depends on how you look at it. You know,
Yeah.
they say black don't crack, so we'll see.
I was just getting ready to say, or is this another black don't crack
Uh,
moment?
Another black
So,
don't crack success story.
I have everyone's like, well, how old are you? And I'm like, old enough to have teenagers. So,
Micah, you have
wow.
that old.
teenagers?
I do. Um,
Wow.
I have two kids. My daughter, she is a teenager. My son, he is, yeah, he's a teenager this year,
Wow.
and I am I'm not as young and not as old as one would place me. It's hard to place me, but I started young, so I'm excited to, like I when I started young, I put a lot of stuff like in that journey, and here I am. So I'm fortunate to be kind of where I am right now and in a
Great.
position to kind of capitalize on some of the stuff that I do. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are you based out of right now?
So I live in Massachusetts,
Okay.
and for almost all my life, I lived in Boston proper. Now we live south of Boston, about a half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So share with us
hmm
everything you want to share about MELD and your journey, and just highlight the some of the obstacles that you may have run into and how you were able to overcome them.
Sure, that's easy. So I went to school for psychology, and in the middle of my journey, And feel free to interrupt me if you have questions as I'm going through.
Sure.
But in the middle of my journey, like, I was had gone to this presentation at, and it was a seminar that this guy, he had long dreads going down his back. He's like, hey, like, you should come and check this out. You have a good personality. And like anyone who has ever walked into a place, a room or a meeting, that they knew nothing about, just to kind of go because a guy with dreads told them, that's me. Like, it's kind of random. I don't know why I went, but I did. And I was like, yeah, I need to be in this place with this guy with dreads. This is what I need to be. So anyway, so I went, and presenting there was a chiropractor from New York who specialized in sports performance, and with him was a man who's no longer alive. His name is Fred Hatfield. At the time, he had held the world record in the squat. I found that to be very interesting. So I ended up sitting through the presentation. The presentation was about becoming a personal trainer. He had worked with, the chiropractor had worked with Dana Torres, the 40-year-old Olympian who had won 3 golds at the age of 40. I thought that was extraordinary. I thought that Fred Hatfield's accomplishments in the squat, they called him Dr. Squat, in fact, I thought that was extraordinary. And what was even more extraordinary about it, to use 3 extraordinaries in one sentence, was that I did not know that personal training was a thing. I had never heard of it. I had never even considered it. It was not an option. There were no personal trainers in the hood, in the city where I grew up. You didn't find them. They weren't there. At that time, it wasn't really a career path. So not knowing anything about it or how it would work, I signed up, of course, because I'm already here with the guy with dreads, so I might as well sign up for training too. So I did. And so I started. And my first year, I made $12,500. Which, if you're doing the math at home, which is just over $1,000 a month. And that $1,000 felt like $1 million, because I was making money doing something that I thought was really, really cool. I got to meet people in different backgrounds, people that had different work experiences, life experiences, but they all had one common issue, which was that they needed to get in shape. For various reasons. It was health reasons or vanity, whatever. It didn't really matter to me. What mattered was that I was able to interact with them and help them out. So fast forward through my career, I worked in multiple different fitness settings. I worked as a corporate fitness manager. I worked as a personal trainer, as a general manager for a boutique studio concept. I worked in big boxes. I managed staffs of 20 to 30, group exercises and personal trainers. And then eventually that led me to open up my own studio. When I opened up my own studio, I thought it was a great idea because the owners of the boutique fitness concept that I was working for were going to sell. Fine, fair enough. You should get the money if you can. And so I ended up leaving. And when I left, I opened up a studio in a town next to it. And I started off with very little money. I didn't have enough money to afford a contractor to do the build out. So I spent about 16 hours a day doing the build out myself. And I knew that I had a target in mind that I wanted to open in about 3 months. And again, like any really sane person, I decided to undertake both construction and starting a new business at the same time, not knowing what I was doing and not having any money. So I opened the business. I was undercapitalized. I was undereducated, and my business closed a year and a half later. So of all the equipment I bought, of all the construction and the hours I put in, the time when my wife was pregnant with our daughter, and I went to work at UPS for the benefits part-time, woke up at 3:30 in the morning, worked from 4 to 8, then went to the studio from 8:30 to 9 for a session. And then I worked all the way until 10:30 at night. I came home, I slept 4 hours, and I did it again. And I did that for months.
Wow.
And it all wound up into me not running a Fortune 500. I ended up losing my business because I didn't know what I didn't know. I'm a big fan of the economist Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell said that he has a quote that I think is relates to my life and maybe perhaps some of your listeners who are watching and maybe yours, which is that it takes an immense amount of knowledge to understand the extent of one's own ignorance. And that quote was fascinating to me because, it's one thing to not know what you don't know. it's quite another thing if we jump back 2 layers to not know what you should know that you don't know that you should know.
Wow.
And
Can
that is that
you say that again?
Yes,
I don't
that's
think I can. That is an immense level of ignorance that, it's a weird place because it's a dangerous place. But so you don't know. I'm gonna try it again, Tony, for you, just for you. You don't know what you should know that you don't know that you need to know in order to start a business or to engage in business or to build the business. Or you ready for this? Because this is really the point. You don't even know what you should ask questions about.
Sure,
That's right.
sure.
Imagine and being in a state of ignorance that you don't, first of all, you have no real institutional knowledge about what you're doing, but you don't even know how to get out of the hole because you can't even gather enough knowledge to figure out what questions to ask to even begin to get out of the hole. So that's where I was. So that was fun. So I closed my studio. I had all that time, all that sweat. It didn't matter because I left with one box. It was about that big. It was a brown
Shut
box.
up.
And so, because if your listeners aren't aware, anything attached to the floor, to the walls, in the commercial space, if you close and you owe rent, that goes back to the landlord. They now own it. That's typically built in most leases, and it's how they can satisfy some of their outstanding debts that you have. If you owe rent. So moving on, when I got home after I closed the studio, turned in the keys, I sat at my kitchen table, a little down. I had never felt this way before. So I started to work on a business plan because it just fit the course of my life. Because who does that, right? And so I wrote down on it that I was going to have multiple studios. I was going to be a national speaker. That I was going to build a company worth millions of dollars, and I put all this stuff on
Wait,
paper.
Micah. So after this debacle with your recent journey, left with a box, you sat down and you had the wherewithal to make these lofty goals.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything else other than what went wrong and how do I fix it. There was
Wow.
it was a I think an exercise in learning for me, and so I kind of understood. It was at that point, it was my first lesson that I understood about running a business, which was that in order to get back, it's going to require an immense effort to get back, and that's really the first lesson. That resiliency is really what builds character in businesses and builds big businesses. It's not intelligence. Some people there's a debate in the psychological community about, does emotional quotient really exist?
Right.
We can discuss that and argue that point. At the end of the day, that's less relevant than resiliency. So
Mm.
resiliency is the number one correlator that they've researched, and the only correlator that they found in success for entrepreneurs who become ultimately successful. It's not intelligence. It's not how you can share your heart with someone, and that sounds fun, and people love it, and they're like, "Oh, you're a dear." But at the end of the day, can you bounce back when you get hit hard? That's
Can I stop you? Can I
game.
just stop
Stop
you?
me.
So, if you can see over my shoulder, I've blocked out my other logo for the moment because the word drastic permeates everything that you embody.
Mm-hmm.
So my company is Drastic Results Marketing and Sales Coaching. The story you just told us is drastic.
That's
Being
right.
resilient is drastic.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't know what to do next, just sitting down and writing what's next is drastic.
That's drastic.
So I just have to give you my wig.
I'll take it.
Hats off to you for being drastic, and you're just like a quarter way through your story, so I'm ready to hear more.
Yeah. So I went back to work as I had the skills, smart guy. So I went back to work as a master trainer, and then at a regional fitness operator, and that's when actually I became the corporate fitness manager. But I left. I did corporate fitness management, and then I was a master trainer at the same company, and I worked there for a couple of years. Then I got a new job as a director of fitness somewhere. And then from there, I met up with an interesting physical therapy clinic, who we were talking, we hit it off, and then they have 4 locations, And we talked about putting training inside their locations, 4 locations. And so we did. Um, and then eventually they contracted back to 1 location because they held the leases. They didn't want to pay it. They, I think, were perhaps overextended, or the insurance companies were requiring patients that they had seen to go to medical centers versus like independent shops. So, anyways, the point is that I ended up opening MELD, what would become MELD, when when I when they contracted back. And so I used the years of training experience, educational experience that I had gained from that point, because during this whole period, the thing I didn't say was that I was spending thousands of dollars a year traveling across the country, sitting in the audience to these fitness professionals that were killing it. And I didn't say anything. I just worked in silence. I would go back to my hotel room. I would write business plans. I would write systems and processes for the day that I would eventually open up a fitness studio of my own again. My fitness studio didn't exist when I was doing a lot of this stuff, my additional ones. But I wrote down systems and processes for when it did for when it did exist.
Mm.
And these people were killing it. And everyone would be out drinking at a bar like the IFA thing, or they would be hanging out, and I would be in my hotel room, and I would be going back over the presentations line by line, and I would be extrapolating what I thought were the points that they were trying to make. And I was formulating that into thoughts and processes, and I learned how to think
Wow.
over time. And then now I opened up, having, expanded on all of that knowledge. And now I created a concept that I believe it just simply works. It's based off of my experience in the industry. It's based off of having failed and succeeded, and the educational knowledge that I've gained along the way, and speaking to people both in the fitness industry and outside the fitness industry. That was a big thing. And I just kept learning. I grew up in the city, and my parents, wanted us to control our effort in school, regardless of the grade result. The effort was more important to them than the grade result. However, I did not really tap into my intellectual capabilities until much later. Those are very important. I didn't understand the importance of understanding when you're an intellectual that you need to be fed, and that you need to continue to learn and to grow. And so once I kind of, you know, learned that lesson, then I was able to kind of apply it to business. So now, fast forward even in further, once I was able to open up MELD, um, I ended up deciding to franchise. 2020, I was going to start franchising, and then I had a bit of an entanglement with a, shall we say, a person with an organization. There were some struggles there getting started that pushed back my ability in to franchise for some time. And so
Mm.
fast forward to about into February, March, that's of last year. That's when we started. And so now I decided to once again go into an industry I knew nothing about. That's kind of wacky, and everyone's kind of insane like me, and it's great. And I'm building the infrastructure of this business. But in the interim, people have been noticed my acumen and my business acumen, and so I started business coaching, right? Because I understand how business systems work, how they should work, based off of what I've learned in business, of course, and failures and successes, but also interacting with people who are the captains and titans of industry. I started tapping into the network, as Tony talks about, of the people that I was actually training. I was training people that were captains of industry. So why weren't I asking them the hard questions? How come I wasn't asking them, what does this mean or that mean? What are these terms?
Mhm.
When you're trying to sell your company, or you're trying to buy real estate, what is cap rate?
Mhm.
What is CAC or CLV? There's a lot of things that at first I was like, I feel like I should know this. But screw it. What does this mean? Like I throw the pretension to the side and ask them questions, and
Yeah.
I was able to be fed by them, and the amount of learning I did was extraordinary.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I commend you on your successes. I think you have, an amazing story, and I'm just so happy for what you've been able to do and push through despite some of the lessons learned that you have. So when you think about MELD now, Micah, so where have you expanded? So when you think about the footprint, right? So
Mhm.
where have you expanded, and what areas are you targeting now?
Yeah, so we still have a corporate location. One of the things I learned in in franchising is that you either go one of two routes often. You either expand your corporate location portfolio and then use that to help expand your franchisees, or you expand with a single location. Maybe it takes a little longer so you can qualify everything and you get. So I'm still in that stage where I'm trying to find my first few franchisees. I have I've tons of people who have expressed interest. A few candidates that we had furnished FTDs for, and so we still have that location. I am targeting a few specific areas, mostly on the eastern side of the U.S. Easy to get to, easy to service, to make sure that we have support. So mostly the northeast area of the U.S. So I'm in Massachusetts, of course, New Hampshire, some of the abutting states, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Ohio, and then in the southeast, we're looking at the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, and we include Texas in with those states because we're actually looking for areas where fitness is a known commodity
Mm-hmm.
or it's an emerging passion for people. And so these are the areas where fitness has really kind of taken hold.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So describe for
What
me
you
your
eating, Tony?
perfect, huh?
I said, what you eating?
Never mind. Describe for me your perfect franchisee.
Oh yeah, I can do that easily. Yeah. So we're looking for someone who's looking to be the mayor of fitness in their town. Someone who
Mhm.
knows how to network, who perhaps has a network. Someone who's engaging. Someone who is a people person. I really enjoy people in hospitality management because often those people have a passion for serving other people and they're very task oriented. I'm looking for an individual who's a good communicator because both with staff and with members and with the franchise office, you're going to have to communicate. So strong communication
Yeah.
skills are important. I'm looking for someone who is adaptable. There's no better example than the pandemic that has showed you the flexibility and adaptability that people have had to instill in their business over the last year and a half or so. And so adaptability is important. And so those are really the major traits that I'm looking. Someone who is consistent, loyal, dependable, and they have the ability to actually are more customer service oriented because customer experience is becoming a reason for people to change brands now. Whereas before, it may have been, and some people still shop on price and value and aesthetic, but customer experience is really where the game is, and so that's where we are. Wayne Gretzky said, I don't skate to where the puck is, I skate to where the puck is going, right? So that's kind of where we are. The MELD experience in general is one that captures individuals in a certain experience, and I can describe that if you like me to.
That actually was my next
Yeah.
question. So go right ahead.
All right. So our value proposition is that we work with busy adults who are 30 to 55 um, in a holistic way in a micro personal training studio. So uh, the thing is that there is no direct fitness concept for people ages 30 to 55. Now, I'll explain that. There's a lot of independent operators out there who do work with people in that age bracket. But in terms of a franchise fitness business that has one specific system to capture the 30 to 55 market, there is nothing out there that does that. It's funny because a lot of individuals, a lot of brands out there, that's the market that they want to be a part of. That's the market that they want to capture. In fact, that was the market that Orange Theory, in an admission in an article last year, said that they were going after 30 to 36, 80,000 plus a year in household income. But when they surveyed their 600,000 global members worldwide, they realized that their customer base was largely 25 and under. So if a company that has the backing of private equity and billions of dollars behind them like that can make a marketing mistake like that, certainly individuals on a smaller scale can as well. That miss for me um, just proved that what we do is exactly what people ages 30 to 55 want. They come in for a
Yeah.
45-minute workout. They're working with the fitness coach. They can schedule the sessions for whenever it works for them, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, around their schedule. They have complete autonomy when it comes to scheduling, and they get a fitness coach. The program that they do is adaptable, is regressed or progressed based off of their skill level when they're in the session. And there's no more than 4 members to one coach. So we maintain that personal training feel, which is really important. And the reason why we don't go over 4 so that they can have their needs addressed. And so their programs have the ability to be progressed to regress. Because if you're in the age group of 30 to 55 and you're a working professional, I can address stay-at-home moms and dads in a minute, but if you're a working professional, you probably are in that age range, you probably are coming to a new level at work, which requires a new level of demand, or you're just getting married, or you're just bumping up against your first ailment that welcomes you to old age. Like I pulled my hamstring sleeping one day. It was, when you're 40, that mark is like the weirdest.
Look, that
Oh,
sounds
the
like me.
weirdest. That is, did you have to go there?
But you understand what I'm saying? Like 30, 50
Yeah.
you're
So
bumping up against your
understand.
first adult ailments, right? Not the things that you get actively playing out there, the things that come with having enough time in the workplace or the home space, overuse injuries, and they kind of start cropping up. And so where is a person? So I want you to think about a concept where a person between the ages of 30 and 55 are going to go and get their needs addressed, progressed or regressed, where they're going to get in and out in 45 minutes or have a community that they can build with. What concept?
Yeah.
There's none out there
It's not, yeah.
Yeah.
except for MELD.
Yeah.
That's what we
Yes.
do. And so these busy professionals, what happens is they end up joining gyms constantly. They come
Looking
to the gym
for what
looking
you
for
just
that.
described.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So
Yeah.
they're standing in the middle of the gym. They're spinning around like a top, trying to figure out which machine to use first. And then they end up not coming back after the first 2 sessions and they're really sore. They pull something, they go to physical therapy, and they're like, screw that. And then they put the gym membership on hold again.
Yeah.
And then they gain
I've
weight.
been there.
You've been there. Tell us about that experience, right?
Yeah.
Is it Matt?
That's it. It's like you feel lost.
Right.
And having someone to guide you through what you specifically need for your body, that's amazing. Those are huge differentiators.
Right.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for figuring that out, that's a valuable service offering at the core of your business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
it's honestly because of that lack of knowledge. We talked about lack of knowledge earlier. When you're busy in that age range, you don't even have time to research
No.
what you can do and where you can go to get this done. You end up searching WebMD, and by the end of it, you're like casket shopping, because you have everything.
It's so hilarious. Oh my God.
That is funny.
Hilarious.
That is hilarious. So Micah, what's the total investment for MELD? If someone was looking, what can they look to say that was something that was in their range for comfortable investment?
Sure. So $104,000 to $158,000.
Wow,
is our,
that's a
is
low
our range.
end for
We are more than 40% lower than the closest personal training range for investment. That's because the key in this value proposition that I just explained is that we function in 1,000 square foot studio, but it gets better than that. The recurring membership and all the other stuff. We've partnered with the National Smoothie Bar Company to specifically design a smoothie bar that goes into that 1,000 square foot studio. So we're addressing both the holistic health and the nutritional health and the physical health of people 30 to 55 who are looking, where can I get a smoothie, pre and post workout nutrition, where can I get a workout that's not going to hurt me, that can adapt to my needs, and I can schedule a session for whenever I need to, because by the way, my meeting ran late, so I need to schedule for tomorrow morning instead of tonight. Okay, fine. You have the app, schedule it. That's where we are.
Awesome.
Great. That's great. We have Amber Lewin in the comment section. She's I can't figure out what she's
Yeah, I
asking,
don't
but it
think
was
that's a
something
real.
related to rent. So I'm not sure what that
No,
means. So
I think
Amber, if
that's a
you can
spam.
repost your question, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Uh, so Tony, did you have anything you wanted to share?
No, I just admire your story. I'm thinking of the people I can connect you with who are ideal
Did you hear
franchise
him
owners
say
for
that
you.
ideal candidate has to be able to network? I know that's right in your sweet spot.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you for mentioning my word. And so, yes, I actually am excited to meet you, excited to know you, and will be connecting with you further so I can
Yes.
introduce you to
Thank you for
potential.
coming on the show to share your journey. I think, I we love doing this because this resonates with people,
Mhm.
and they may be out there struggling with their own business concept, and hearing people that it's not easy, but you mentioned the key word
It's not. You're absolutely right.
Resilient.
So to that end, I have started to attempt. Who knows how this will go? Only the Lord probably to write a book about this. So
oh
there is a gap between, as you know, if you work with entrepreneurs, there's a gap with the beginning stage of, as I explained how I started my journey, to when I became, shall we say, sufficiently institutionally competent to be able to try to run a business. And so, what are those early questions? What are those early behaviors? What are those early targets? Who knows? Um, you have books like the E Myth, which are fine. They talk about building systems, but no one really addresses the steps before you even get there. So I decided to write a book about it. I'll have to hold the title off and all the other stuff because um, it's a task to be able to get it out, but it's exciting. I think this needs to be out in the public. This is a gap in the entrepreneurial space. So
a huge gap. So
yeah.
that is very needed. And my question,
Mhm.
one of my last questions, do you work with external brokers?
I do. I
Okay.
do. So I'm a member of Franchise Business Association. They're amazing.
Okay.
And I get a ton of territory checks. I engage the brokers. I've gotten a few candidates from them. Didn't work out, unfortunately, but that's fine. I have a thick skin from being in business. You can't be crying and be thin skinned if you're going to be in business. So I absolutely do. I think brokers are, um, when they understand your concept and what you do, they're such a useful tool for a growing and emerging brand like mine.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
love working with emerging brands because it's just a ton of support that you
Hmm.
guys give to that right to that right person, correct?
That's right. I mean,
Yeah.
so we support 360 degrees of the franchise business. So all of our supplier partners are on our support team, all of them, and
Mm,
that's not always the case.
that's
But they
right.
they support the smoothie bar. In fact, they will come out for about a week to work with the owner of a MELD to help them get everything together on the smoothie bar end. They work directly with them, get them set up, and their manager and the employees. Our marketing firm understands the tone and the voice of MELD, and they'll work in the coaching sessions with the franchisee to
Mm,
so that they can merge their voice with the voice and the brand and the tone of MELD and
That
the
is
voice of the
amazing.
local area as
Yeah.
well, because there's three voices that have to be merged into one, right? The local area, the franchisee, and the company to keep it
And the
consistent.
Zor. Yeah.
That's right. And then so we also do what we call MAP mentoring, MAP coaching, which stands for Mentoring and Accountability Program, and that's when we try to help with unit level economics and help the franchisee kind of understand profit and loss statements and margins and EBITDA, those things that are
mhm.
important for resale and for operating the business. And so we offer that as well. And then we even support our supplement supplier even supports those as well. So they
Awesome.
they have education surrounding all that stuff.
That's
Um,
a ton
Awesome.
of support
yeah.
for someone new coming into your brand. And
Mhm.
that is amazing. And that's why I love emerging brands for what
Yeah.
you just described
Mhm.
right there.
Yeah.
So
So, Micah,
thank you, Micah. Tony, did you have something else
I
or
was just going to say thank you for sharing your story, time flies when you're having fun.
Mhm.
Your contact information is
It's
scrolling
scrolling on the
uh,
bottom.
I
on the
see it.
bottom.
That's cool.
And
And
so my
Mhm.
network, if you're interested in MELD, please contact me. I know how to get in contact with Micah. We can get you going down this process to MELD Fitness brand. And don't hesitate to reach out. You saw all the awesome things that MELD has to offer. I would love to have a conversation with you about that. And Micah, thank you again for sharing your journey.
Thank you. I appreciate you ladies having me on, and you know, these are important conversations to have. So
Yes.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
awesome. Thank
Enjoy
you.
the
We'll
rest of your
be
weekend.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
wow. You talk
Wow.
about drastic.
He
That
was
was
drastic in a number of different ways, right?
absolutely. I
Wow.
appreciated those stories, and
I
I'm
love,
gonna
love, love
actually,
hearing these stories. This is
uh,
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Another
So
amazing session with us. Anything else you want to add, Tony, before we close out?
yeah, if you are interested in connecting with Micah and you're in my network, connect with me. I'll connect you to Jennifer, who will connect you to Micah. So we're committed to helping as many people understand the value of franchising as possible, especially people in the African American community. And so just excited about what's going on. So next week, we'll be back here
That's right.
and we'll have another special guest. But continue to share. Please share our show. All you got to do is hit the share button on whatever
That's
social
right.
platform you're looking on and share it to your page, share it to your channel, and then share it with individuals who need to hear the message.
Share, share, share alike. So thank you everyone for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the session. And how do we close out the show, Tony?
This is Tony Harris Taylor
And this is Jennifer Calendar
saying take a drastic step today
for
for a fan. Go ahead.
fantastic tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Yay. Bye. Have a good weekend.